Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our press conference today about Brexit, how Europe should deal with President Trump, Macron's victory, and Russia and Turkey. Mr. Verhofstadt, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you very much. So it's today the 30th anniversary of Erasmus, and I want to say that a priority in the negotiations on Brexit will be that we continue that program. That means that UK students can continue to participate in Erasmus, and that also EU students can do that in Britain. I think it's absolutely necessary that at the 30th anniversary of Erasmus, we make that very clear that this program needs to be a priority in the negotiations with our UK counterparts. But more general on Brexit, we await for the moment the position of the United Kingdom. It's unclear, in any case for me, it's unclear if the UK government will stick to the line that they had announced in the letter of the 29th of March, or if they will change it, looking to and taking into account the outcome of the election. As you know, from our side, from the side of the European Parliament, we have always welcomed a very close relationship in the future with the United Kingdom. Naturally, we have even indicated in the resolution that we preferred a Norwegian-style relationship, or even a customs union. That's another possibility. But we have also indicated that in such case, we will not compromise, and the European Union will never compromise on a number of conditions. And these conditions are clear: citizens first, the four freedoms that are fully integrated in the single market, a fair financial settlement, and then finally also the respect for an effective legal framework in this. It's also important to recall that the European Parliament is of the opinion that the future relationship needs to be based on Article 217 of the treaty. That means association agreement. Why? Because that is not only foreseen in the treaty, because it's flexible and it is a clear framework. It gives the possibility not only to talk about economy and trade, but also about other issues, internal security issues, external security issues, the topic of research and education, and at the 30th anniversary of Erasmus, that is good to underline that. And it gives also the possibility then to tackle the requests of many UK citizens who want to keep their rights linked to EU citizenship. All this can be done in an association agreement. And then finally, the European Parliament also, more than it was even the case before the elections, will make of the Good Friday Agreement and the respect of the Good Friday Agreement a key priority. A key priority to avoid that a hard border will be established between the Irish Republic and Northern Ireland, and it is even more a priority since the Tory government is looking to secure an agreement, especially with the DUP. So the respect of the Good Friday Agreement and the avoidance of a hard border becomes even more more a priority than it was already the case in the previous weeks and months. So I think it's we are now on Brexit and the whole discussion. It started now more or less 3 years ago. I continue to believe that it started and it's still an internal dispute in the Tory party, and it's time now to understand that it's not about the Tories leaving the European Union, it's about the UK leaving the European Union, and to take into account our positions the fastest as possible so that we can start these negotiations, because that's the will of the Europeans, to the representatives of the European Union, to start the fastest as possible these negotiations. Then on the withdrawal of the American administration of the Paris Agreement, I think I can be very blunt about this. The Trump visit to Europe was a disaster. But I think it's not a good reaction now to start to talk about, oh, and we need now economic sanctions. Because I think that is more or less economic suicide. We don't have an interest in a trade war with the US. And we have no interest, I think, in copying now Trump. You don't fight against Trump with more Trump. We must do exactly the opposite, I think, and that is especially three actions. First of all is to pursue free trade agreements with other partners, and I think especially to India, Japan, South America. We need to invest now heavily in European defense and intelligence, European defense community, a European capacity on intelligence and fight against organized crime and terrorism. And thirdly, we need to continue to play a leading role in the fight against climate change. And one of the key elements for that is investment in research. Increase investment in research. Also in storage of energy and in the energy union as a single market, what is still not existing in Europe. Then on the first round in the parliamentary elections in France, we hope that Macron is on course to win a huge majority in the French parliamentary elections of next Sunday. And we think that's not only good news for France, but it's also good news for Europe, because you feel already that it's also changing the mood, and it's inspiring an inspiration to start a more in-depth reflection on the reform of the European Union. And in that sense, I'm pleased with the reflection papers that the Commission have launched the last weeks and months. A reflection paper on the Economic and Monetary Union, the reflection paper on the Defence Union. But naturally, the Commission is not a think tank. There needs to be, in the second half of the year, after the summer break, not only reflection papers, but we want to urge the Commission to come forward with legislative proposals on all these issues. On the Defence Union, on the Economic Monetary Union, on the Energy Union, on the further establishment of a single digital market with one regulator, because that's the key problem for the moment, that there are 28 and tomorrow 27 regulators. And so with the victory of Macron and also the positive reactions in a number of other member states, especially in Germany, on his proposals, from all sides we cannot longer say, oh yeah, the member states don't want to go forward. This is not longer a valid argument. And we want to press the Commission to take up the lead in this. And then finally, I want to make a short comment on what happened yesterday in Russia. The protests against corruption and protests in favor of the political accountability of the representatives in the Russian system. It's a scandal, naturally, that at least 1,000, if not more, if not 2,000 people have been arrested in these tens and tens of rallies in the big cities in Russia, and especially the fact that Navalny has been already sentenced to a 30-day imprisoning. And yesterday, the President of the Parliament, Mr. Tajani, reacted to this. What I want to hear is also the reaction of Mr. Tusk on this, and of the Commission, and of Mrs. Mogherini on this, and more of that. I think that on all these issues we are far too silent or too weak. Take, for example, the case of Taner Kilic, the President of Amnesty International in Turkey. We have said with the European Parliament, it's time now to suspend the talks with Turkey. We didn't do it. European Council continues to create the illusion of these accession talks, and the consequence of this is that for Erdogan, there are no limits. What is the limit? He can do what he wants. We don't take any action towards Turkey, not even suspending accession talks who are already, in fact, freezed for quite a long time. So if you don't give a signal to Erdogan, he will continue. It were journalists, now it's the lawyer, the president of Amnesty International. Who will it be tomorrow? If we as Europeans are not vocal and not willing to engage in some concrete measures, in concrete steps, in concrete consequences of this of the authoritarian attitude of Erdogan towards Taner Kilic, as only one of the examples of the last months. Thank you.
We have time for two questions. Alistair.
Thank you. Alistair MacDonald from Reuters. On Brexit, you said you would welcome possibly a British move to a different kind of Brexit, something closer to a Norway solution. Are you concerned, however, that changing plans now could increase the risk that there could be no deal, that Britain may struggle to get behind a new plan in time for this to work?
I didn't say I would welcome. I'm saying that I should welcome a position from the UK. They confirm the letter of the 29th of March, or they open the game in another direction. That's their responsibility. What we welcome is that that we see clarity in the coming days on this. Clarity, why? Because the uncertainty cannot continue. This uncertainty has not started with the referendum of last year, with the outcome of the referendum of last year. That's the reason why I recalled that it already 3 years ago, that this whole debate on the position of the UK in Europe is under debate and under discussion. This is 3 years now. It has also paralyzed the Union itself. We didn't reform ourselves, we didn't modernize ourselves because we are busy with, okay, what is the position of the UK in the Union? That has to end now. And if they in my humble opinion, I think that one of the elements of the outcome of the election was certainly not a support of the Brexit. But if the British government wants to take that into account in their position, that's their responsibility.
Gentleman over here.
Ivo Caizzi, Corriere della Sera. The head of the socialist group, Mr. Pittella, a few minutes ago, has strongly criticized the amendment that you place in the country-by-country report because he says that he opens enormous loopholes for tax evasion. He called it a scandal. He called it a scandal, clearly. He's not the only one to use this word and to comment in this way your political action. Can you explain us why you placed this amendment and what is the sense of the intervention? And another question, if I may, very quickly. What's the position of your group in the revision of the general expenses allowance that seems not to be used for the office expenses? If you can tell us how you use this allowance.
So, Paul, on the second question, there is a working group that has been created by the Bureau. And so we support that. We have supported from the beginning that such a working group should be established, and that has been done now. We can give you, if you want, also the composition of these people who are the members of the Bureau and when they have to come forward with a new proposal to solve that problem. And I'm fully supporting that initiative, and my group is fully supporting that initiative. Then on the other issue, of the country-by-country reporting. Well, our coordinator in this is Mr. Enrique Calvet, and he has tried to find an agreement between the groups, because the position of the Parliament in the negotiations with the Council is completely weak if there is no broad majority in the House on how to apply this country-by-country reporting. And he found it himself in the middle, I should say, like we always do, between the socialists, who want to go very tough on this, and the PPE, who want more or less nothing at all. Okay? And finally, he came out with a compromise, and that compromise is on the table now. I understand that for the PPE it goes too far, apparently, maybe, and for the socialists it goes not far enough. Okay, so... But what we have tried to do is at least that there is a position of the Parliament, in the more or less a centrist position, so that Parliament can start negotiation with the Council. If we continue to follow the hardliners of some groups at the right, or the hardliners of some groups at the left, there is no position of the European Parliament, and we shall never have country-by-country reporting, not even a minimum of country-by-country reporting. And so what we try to do is to make the bridge, I don't know, not always easy, between both groups, and to find a majority for that, so that there is a position on country-by-country reporting by the European Parliament. It's fantastic to do politics, as for the moment some groups are doing it, without looking even to the necessity to have a position of the Parliament. And without position of the Parliament, country-by-country reporting is a lost cause.
Yeah, that was it, because the Queens are waiting. Unfortunately, there's no more time. Thank you for coming.